Hello, everybody. It's being putsy. I swear. I'm clicking.
Danzy, Mr. Danzy, good morning. Mr. Danzy, you're here for the charge of driving while license suspended or revoked. Mr. Danzy, there is probable cause in the complaint. And Mr. McDaniel, anything else I need to be aware of on behalf of Mr. Danzy?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Bremer?
Your Honor, the state requests a reasonable bond and that he not be permitted to drive without a driver's license.
Thank you. Mr. Danzy, given the fact that you allegedly got the same charge except the civil version within the last week or so, your bond's going to be $3,500 cash or surety with a condition not to drive a motor vehicle unless you get a valid license. If you get a valid license, you can drive. But if you get caught driving without a license again, then that's going to violate your bond and you're going to go to jail with no bond. Mr. Danzy, I know that you have a question and I'm glad to answer your question, but don't talk about what you've been accused of because we are being recorded and I want you to talk to the attorney in private before you say something that's going to hurt yourself. Do you have any questions?
It said that you said that I've been charged twice or whatever.
The complaint says that. Let me tell you what it says. Deputy Gramling advised me that he had issued the same driver a verbal warning. Sorry, it was verbal warning, not charged. A verbal warning for the driving license suspended approximately a week prior. So law enforcement saying that you were issued a verbal warning a week prior. And Mr. McDaniel, I didn't catch that. I thought he had been charged. That
We've got two is 2022. So I thought that's what you were referring to.
Yeah.
With the, I saw two unknowingly, and this will be his third, no matter what. So,
well, okay. Let me check that because what system were you looking on when you saw that?
CCIS. I saw an unknowingly in 22 and a knowingly in 22.
Okay, give me a second because this David's system only showed one.
That's all I remember. But I mean,
And
It could have been.
I thought he had one and he had one in the pipeline, but it looks like he had one and the most recent one was just a warning. So that my recommended offer, his David system only shows one.
Okay.
And it shows one in, let's see where it was at, Bay County in 22.
yes. Sir.
So Mr. McDaniel, do you want to check CCIS? It may be a probation. It may be a probation offer. If he knows he doesn't want to take probation, then we'll just set the bond and be done with it. But if he wants to take probation, then I need to look and see if it's right. If he has a prior other than the one in 22.
He would take probation, Your Honor. And they may have been one that it may have been downgraded because they were pretty close. I thought the unknowingly and the knowing, and he may have not have paid it yet. That might be not why it's not on the system. I mean, so as soon as he pays that fine, it's going to go on his record. I think that's
You're
actually
absolutely right.
Yes.
Mr. Danzy, we're trying to keep you from getting a 5-year suspension. Mr. McDaniel's probably explained to you, if you get 3 within 5 years, that's going to be a 5-year suspension. So we don't want that to happen. Now, if it happens, it happens, but we're trying to at least let you know the consequences of your plea before you enter it.
Yes, sir. I mean,
Judge Mercer, let me break in here for a second because the cop got the wrong date of birth on the complaint. I just went and looked at his driver's license. His date of birth should be 9/22/1990.
Okay. Do you know if let's see which one I pulled up on David.
Well, the criminal history shows the correct.
Okay. The David system I pulled up was right. So Mr. McDaniel, I bet we put in the law enforcement information or you put in the law enforcement information as I would have for the date of birth. There may be more than one Dustin Danzy in Florida. So I'm looking at CCIS now. It's a different system. It shows one in 22 in Calhoun County. Mr. McDaniel, you're exactly right. It shows one being charged in Calhoun that is in collections. But let's check the date of birth on it.
As soon as he pays that fine, he goes in there and tries to get his license fixed and pays that fine, it's going to go on his record.
Let me check the date of birth on that one. You ever got a ticket in Calhoun County that you're aware of, Mr. Danzy?
yes, sir, I did. Yes, sir, I did. I did get one in Calhoun County. Yes, sir. But I've already done paid it. And I mean, it was an unknowingly about my driving while suspended.
So Mr. McDaniel, if he has an unknowingly for habitual purposes, that counts as a prior, right?
Correct.
Okay. So Ms. Bremer, based on our understanding, I think if he enters this plea to DWLSR, it is going to result in a 5-year suspension because he'll have 3 within 5 years, but he does not have one from last week that I thought he had. It'll turn out to be a warning. So does the state have a problem with the probation and no valid?
No, Your Honor, no objection.
Mr. McDaniel, if your client wants to do that, we can resolve it today. Otherwise, I'm glad to set him a bond.
Your Honor, we will enter a plea of no contest to the charge of no valid driver's license. You understand he'll be placed on 6 months probation, no early termination. There'll be a $400 fine, and he's going to waive his right to a jury trial and call witnesses.
Ms. Bremer, is that agreeable with the state? Mr. Danzy, did you hear that agreement?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Danzy, I don't know that Mr. McDaniel, he may have said this. I was reading something when he spoke part of that time, but part of your probation will be that you cannot drive a motor vehicle unless you get a valid license. You understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And knowing all of that, is this the plea you would like to enter?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Danzy, I'm going to accept your plea of no contest to the amended charge of no valid driver's license, withhold adjudication of guilt, place you on probation for 6 months. Court costs and fines will be imposed amount of $400. Do not drive a motor vehicle unless you get a valid driver's license. The no early term, was that, did he say that?
Yes, Your
Okay, I didn't even catch that. Mr. Danzy, so you got 6 months probation, no early term. What we're going to do, sir, is you're going to get to use the phone to set up transportation, Mr. Danzy. Then you're going to be brought to the courthouse because that's where the probation office is at. When you get here, you'll meet with the probation officer, either Mr. Goodson or Mr. Ham. One of those gentlemen will go over the probation with you. They'll answer any questions you have about it. They'll give you a copy of all the rules in writing, and then you'll be free to leave. So if you call friends or family, you can tell them that you can be picked up in about a half hour at the county probation office in Marianna. Any questions?
No, sir. That's it. Thank you.
Have a good day, sir. I used to have hair just like Mr. Danzy, same color and everything.
So if you've ever wondered what Judge Wade Mercer looked like in his younger days, apparently it was just like Mr. Dancy.
Yeah, boss. Good morning,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You're here because you've been accused of violating the terms of your pretrial intervention. Mr. Kubas, the warrant is a no bond warrant. Please listen to Mr. McDaniel. He has some additional information I think he wants to make me aware of, and perhaps Mr. Goodson also.
Yeah, Mr. Goodson there today?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Goodson, I mean, you can correct me, and if we're totally wrong on this, but Mr. Kubas is telling me that he had done everything in his his driving class he did online, and he showed it with you on the phone, and he was waiting for the certificate to come back through. He was going to turn it into you, but he never did get it. I guess he thought that after that 3 months that, with early termination, that he was completed it. And if you know of something different, I mean, please inform me.
No, he did. He checked in when he got put on PTI was November the 7th, 23. He checked in for the 3 months as he was supposed to. He paid his fine in full. He had paid the COS up for 3 months. The last contact I had with him was January 25th, and he told me he was going to bring in the certificate, and I put in the notes, as soon as he brings in the certificate, we will send the case back on February 7th, which would have been the 3 month mark, to Ms. Bremer for possible no information. I never heard back from Mr. Kabas. He never brought the certificate in, so his time was fixing to expire. So we did an affidavit and a warrant. So he did comply with everything. He checked in 3 months, but I never got a copy of the certificate.
I understand. That's what he was telling me also. So Mr. Kabas, did something happen with you getting the certificate, or?
They never sent my certificate.
Speak up.
When I took the class, they said it would take about 2 to 3 weeks for them to send the certificate. And then I checked my mail and I never got the certificate mailed to me. But I have proof that I took the class.
Are you still a student at Chipola, or?
Yes, sir. I'm going to FSU coming up August.
It's always going to FSU. Okay, and I guess Mr. Stacy, Mr. Goodson, did you see his completion on this telephone? I guess his app or whatever.
I can't remember that, Mr. McDaniel. Hey, I mean, he could have possibly showed me something but that was January 25th. So I can't say if I did or I didn't. I just put in the notes that he was going to bring in the certificate. That's what I put in my notes.
And Your Honor, I think we're gonna go ahead and just, do whatever the court wants to do with the case, you know what I mean? And, if it means admitting, because he did make a mistake on it. I don't think it was purposely. I think he was understanding that after 3 months that it was gonna be terminated. He clearly forgot to find that certificate and bring it in though, but we leave it up to the court's discretion to do whatever's appropriate.
Is forgot really the correct word for that? I think it was kind of more like he blew it off because he figured, meh, I showed him and my time's almost up. So if they didn't, I didn't get it. So no big deal. He knows. I think that's probably more the scenario.
You want to enter that plea of no contest to the court?
So I guess my one question is, if you didn't get a certificate, why didn't you report back in the next month and say, I don't have the certificate still? Or why didn't you call Mr. Goodson and say, I don't have the certificate. They haven't sent it to me yet. What do I need to do? I don't understand that part, Mr. Cabas.
Yes, sir. I apologize. It's because whenever I showed him on the phone, because I told him that I took the class, and the only thing I was waiting for my certificate, and I thought because of that, I waited for my certificate to come, and thinking because I already took the class, I didn't have to bring back the certificate, knowing that I showed him on the phone, but it was a miss. I apologize.
You're telling me a couple of different things though. You're saying that you were waiting on the certificate, but you're also saying you thought you were done with it. So why would you be waiting if you thought you were done? What difference does the certificate even make if you'd already showed it to him on the phone, if you thought that was sufficient?
Because I showed him on the phone, and
Right.
I told him that the actual certificate won't be mailed till 2 to 3 weeks. And then whenever I checked my mailbox, I never got the certificate. Like they never mailed it to me.
Were you under the impression when you left that day that you did not have to come back because you had showed him on the phone?
No, sir.
Okay, so why didn't you come back the next month then?
Because I thought that showing him on the phone would.
I just asked you a very simple question. When you left that day, were you under the impression that when you showed him that on the phone, even though he didn't have a certificate, that you did not have to come back and report anymore? Was that your understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how did you get that understanding? Where did you get that understanding from? Did somebody tell you that? Did Mr. Goodson tell you that, or what made you think that?
I think Mr. Goodson told him we're good, something of that nature, when he come in and checked in and shut him down the phone, and he interpreted that to mean he didn't have to come back. And I don't think that's what Mr. Goodson meant when he said we're good. You're good to go. I think that's what he told me earlier. He told me I was good to go when he showed me on the phone, and I said, but you didn't get a letter that said that it was terminated. And he said, no, I didn't. And I think he misunderstood his language when he said you're good to go. I think he meant that he was good to go for that day, and we'll see next month. But I think he interpreted.
I appreciate that, Mr. McDaniel, but you or I weren't there. I don't have no idea what Mr. Goodson said. And
I don't know what I said either. My notes say this. On January 25th, 2024, subject N will bring in certificate for 4-hour class. And I will send case back on February 7th to 23 if I get the certificate. That's what I put in my case notes. So that's what I put in there.
Ms. Bremer, what's your thoughts?
Based on what's in the file, it does not appear that there was a mutual understanding that the defendant was finished with DTI, but I do understand there could be some confusion.
Yeah, I don't never have Mr. Goodson accused of not being clear. Maybe once or twice in 25 years. I feel like he's pretty clear. I think the solution is to put him back on PTI, let him finish his full term and not early term, and exclude the months that he didn't report. Let him back out, not reward him for not doing what he didn't do, but at the same time, not let him off any earlier than the full 6 months. So when was the warrant issued? Well, this is a recent warrant. So y'all didn't report it. Y'all didn't do a warrant for months after he didn't do anything.
I mean, he actually his time expired.
Because y'all waited so long to do a warrant. So he's supposed to bring it in February. He's supposed to bring it in February, and y'all didn't do a warrant until May.
I'm not going to have any objection, Your Honor, to 3 more months of supervision and to complete that class and give them a certificate of it. I think that's extremely reasonable. I'm not going to object to it.
Can I do that legally? What degree misdemeanor is it?
I think if I don't
reckless
object
driving, you could do 9 months. Can't you on reckless driving? Yeah, reckless driving is a hybrid. You can do 9-month supervision. So I think legally I can do that. So Ms. Bremer, what do you think about just extending the supervision by 3 months from today? No early termination. It will still be a PTI. That way he won't have a conviction on his record if he completes everything, and he'll get out of jail and just complete reporting for the next 3 months, including finishing any previously imposed conditions, such as either doing the school again, if you can't get a certificate, or providing a certificate, not a picture of a certificate that you completed the program. How does that sound, Mr. McDaniel?
That's perfectly acceptable, Your Honor.
Mr. Kubas, is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir.
What we're going to do is we're going to show your case extended then for 3 months from today. Same conditions as before, not adding anything to it, but you've got to complete any uncompleted conditions from previously. So that's a condition that you have not completed. So you've got to complete it. And you've also got to report in for the next 3 months. As long as you do that, the state's going to honor their original agreement with you and dismiss this case. There doesn't need to be any more misunderstandings. Mr. Kubas, any questions?
No, sir.
Do you need him to report when he gets out of jail?
He got lucky.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is ask the jail just to bring you, when they bring the conditional releases, you'll get to use the phone before you leave the court, before you leave the jail. And you can tell your friends or family that you can be picked up at the courthouse in roughly a half hour. And then you'll be back on conditional release, PTI and conditional release like you were before. Just make sure you don't have any uncertainty and do the conditions you've got to do so that you can get this thing behind you and it won't affect your future, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, any questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. We'll see you in about 30 minutes at the courthouse.
Now we head to Arizona. We'll only be able to see the judge or part of her for this time, but it's worth it.
Hi, sir. Can I get your full name?
Rico Frank Souza.
Okay, Mr. Souza, you are here on some warrants out of Tucson City Court, and I show that you're being held on a probation hold right now. So I'm going to order that you be held on a $500 cash bond on your city court matters. I will appoint the city public defender to represent you, and you will be seen by video on June 3rd at 1:45 in the afternoon with Judge Maldonado. Do you understand?
No. I don't know what any of this means. I don't know legal stuff. How do I get free? How do I get rid of my legal issues? Tired. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Okay, well, you're going to be in custody and you're going to go to court. You'll go to Superior Court regarding your probation case, and you'll go to city court regarding these cases, and you'll get more information then,
I
okay?
tried going to probation. They didn't show up at the time that it was supposed to be, the appointment. And then I
Right.
went when they said to go, and nobody was returning my phone calls. This is bullshit.
All right, talk to your attorney about that, sir. You're excused.
Whatever, go fuck yourself.
All right, so I'll be throwing stuff on the computer.
And if you didn't catch that at the end, I'm assuming that was they always have a defense attorney in the room with the person. And, you know, he said, all right, so don't be throwing stuff.